Good afternoon, ladies, gents, and kiddos. You know what, Father? Do you think we're ready to explode?
I think we are ready to explode. Yes. Definitely. Why?
Why? I think it's because we're realizing that with first off, let's talk about why we're ready to explode. Over the last couple of weeks, we've been a little bit behind, and we felt those logs starting to pile upon us.
Yeah, it's felt like a log jam was forming. But not only that, as I look at the whole brand strategy development process, it feels like it's taking a long time and it's very arduous. And I just want things to start moving along.
See, and that's what we started to realize this week, is that, guess what? All of this work that we put beforehand, chopping down the logs, getting them to the river, is starting to pay off. And with a little bit of an explosion added on, we are starting to see it all move along.
Yeah, things started to pick up this week. This week feels like the dropping of dynamite into a log jam, and that all the logs, everything we've been doing to come up with our brand strategy, might just start flowing down the river.
So tell me, Father, what do we start off with this week?
Well, I think we want to stock. Let's not stalk anybody. I think we want to begin by talking about names. And what isn't a name? Should we start with the criteria for picking a name?
You know what? That sounds good to me. So what is our first criteria, Father?
The first criteria that we had when it came to selecting our name was to make sure that the name communicates our offer. As you know, our offer is all about helping families build businesses as part of their legacy. And so as we looked at our offer, there were a lot of keywords that came to mind for us. Family and business and legacy, learning, mentoring, accountability, all these types of things came up at the top. But the two most important were family and business. And I hate to drop hints so early in the game, but those two words, family and business, did become the first two words of our new brand name. So, Austin, any thoughts on this?
You know, what I find kind of interesting about this is their communication is one of the most important things in family, and it's also one of the most important things in business. So it's really, I feel like, a strong tie and a good thing for us to look for in our life and as a whole.
Yeah, bottom line, your family will help your business, and your business will help your family. They can be a blessing to each other as you take the things you learn in business and apply them at home, and the things you learn at home and apply them to the business. Family and business do go together, no matter what anybody else might think. Okay, our next criteria was originality. And what we mean by originality is that it's unique. Nobody else is using it, at least nobody else in our industry or region, nobody else in our market is using it. And actually, we've accomplished that by adding a third word to our first two words. We have found something that's unique, and in fact, the only real other example we found out of it is in Worlds of Warcraft, and there's only very few, like 1,000 or 2,000 matches on Google in the first place, and they're kind of stretching it in most cases. So definitely found something unique. Now, as far as being memorable, I believe we found something that's memorable as well, and the reason I believe we found something that's memorable is because the third word that's added to family and business was used in a brand that I first connected with when I first got on the internet 20 years ago. And I still occasionally visit their site and see what they're up to because I've remembered their brand all these years. So I think this new brand is going to be memorable. Now, the final one is creative, and I got a question mark there because in addition to being unique and memorable, from an originality perspective, something that is creative and really resonates, just has that perfect ring, is something we're looking for. And I'm not sure how we've done on that part. Austin, what do you think?
So I personally think it's creative because I feel like it's something that our industry hasn't really tried to put forth. It's not something that is classically seen on our industry, and I feel like we are bringing our own spin to the industry.
What about resonating with you? Does it have that ring, that new business brand ring that you want to have?
Well, considering that it relates to one of my favorite activities, of course it does.
Ah, nice. Oddly enough, Josh is also interested in that activity, and it didn't resonate with him. And I think in general, most of us were kind of on the fence about whether it would resonate or not. But ultimately, we had to conclude that if this is the only aspect of our criteria that is maybe debatable, we should jump in and get started. And so we did. Okay, other criteria that we needed to evaluate as part of our naming process was that the name we were looking for was free of legal infringement. So this means it can be registered as a business in our state or wherever we're going to register the business, that there's no trademark infringement, that we don't have copyright issues, all of those types of things. And so we did a basic legal search, and it looks like we're free and clear, so we're going to go ahead and move forward. And then the last thing is availability. And we needed to make sure that the domain names were available to acquire and that social media accounts were available to acquire. Any other thoughts, Austin?
I don't believe so. So I guess that brings us to our brand name. Drum roll, please. We don't really have a thing to drum roll, but we'll pretend. Our business is Family Business Guild.
Yes, Family Business Guild is what we went with. So that is the brand. And Austin, tell me a little bit about how Family Business Guild meets those criteria. We talked about offering the brand offering and being compatible with communicating offer. Obviously, we're about family and business and families building big businesses to leave a legacy. But where does Guild come in, and how does that resonate with our offer?
Well, to me, Guild resonates with it because in this day and age, guilds are about usually focused on creatives. You know, we got guilds focused around acting and all of that stuff, and that's in the creative. Those are in the creative industry. You know more of them than I do, but that is why Guild ties into it. Is because we want to focus on being creative.
Yeah, I also think guilds historically are about learning and training and developing and protecting and mentoring within an industry, and so I think that those all come together. And the word guild goes back to a long legacy when parents would hand down skills and trades to children and so forth and so on. So I think guild even ties in with the concept of legacy. So Family Business Guild is the brand that we are going with. Okay, Austin, what's next on our list of discussion topics for the day?
Well, next off is our brand promise.
And we could ask for another drum roll here. Drum roll, please. Okay, our brand promise is the place where families learn business.
You know what's funny?
What's funny?
I just realized me doing this, the reason why I do it like that is because in my class at church, we are learning a song, and in our song, we're doing this.
Oh, I get it now. I was a little bit lost for a minute because I'm like, in your class at church, you mean in the primary class that you teach, you're learning that. Got it. That makes a whole bunch more sense now. Okay, so with a name, with a promise, Austin, I think the last thing we need to talk about is positioning. So can you tell us about positioning?
Of course I can. This is our basic positioning statement right here. It is affordability versus breadth, and as you can see, we aren't the most affordable. We are. There are a couple of people above us in affordability, and although currently we don't have the most breadth, our goal is to be up there in some of the people with the most breadth.
Yeah, and so I think it's important to note, like you said, we're almost affordable as the most affordable, but our goal is to be super broad and cover a lot of topics. At the other end of the spectrum, down at the bottom here, we have people that are very narrowly focused, that are also not very affordable. And these are groups that tend to really focus on depth. And so we really want to shift up from that expensive depth perspective to broad affordability perspective. And the reason for that is because we want to make sure that families who are starting their business have all the information they need to start and grow, particularly as the startup and growth stages, and make sure that we're making that information available to everybody who's a stakeholder in the business. And so that's where we're focused on that affordability and breadth of coverage aspect. So that is our positioning. The Family Business Guild is the place where families go to learn about a business, covering a broad set of business topics in an affordable way. So that, Austin, is, I think, everything we've got for the day. Is there anything else you want to add to our conversation?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. Well, with that in mind, then, this is where we're at. We've made some good progress, and we're crossing a whole bunch of things off the list. We've actually gone from being behind to, in Austin's words, being aheadish.
We're still behind on one thing.
Well, we're behind on one thing, but we're ahead on a whole bunch of other things. Therefore, in net, we are ahead.
Shouldn't we go to the OPEM to show them why?
Well, I don't know if the OPEM will add a lot of value, but we can take a quick look at the OPEM. Let me just go ahead and blow this up, and we can share the screen. And so, in essence, we are still clarifying those smart financial goals. However, these will all be done. These will all be done. Those will all be done. And so we've got one thing undone from last week, but we have two things done for next week. And so we are, in effect, one thing ahead.
Yep.
So
exactly.
So by Austin's definition, that is ahead-ish. So,
see, it's like if, well, actually, no, that's not family friendly.
Okay, we won't go there then. Okay, so I think the key thing you need to know then as we wrap up today, that tomorrow morning, bright and early, 5:45 a.m.
Retrospective.
Oh, retrospective. Austin, retrospect for us.
Well, our retrospective is exactly what we're seeing right now. We keep forgetting it.
And by forgetting it, you don't mean just forgetting it here,
but forgetting to apply it to our week ahead.
Yeah, which really means that we've stopped improving the quality of our streams. We've not taken time to prepare for knowing whether or not we should break up with you all. We're just dropping the ball on those continuous improvement, the atomic habits, if you will, that make us a little bit better every time. And so what are we going to do then, Austin? What is the action our retrospective tells us to take?
Well, I think our action is to go retrospective first. To focus our retrospective as opposed to having it be in the back of our minds as we're going throughout the day.
Okay, so prioritize the retrospective and make sure it's part of our scrum and planning then. We need to actually put tasks on for it. Got it.
Exactly.
Okay, I think that's a great idea, and I'm all on board. So everybody, we will see you tomorrow morning, 5:45 a.m. Mountain Time, when we will do our sprint planning and lay out the course for next week. Until then, have a good night.
And see you later.